Hello, everyone. This is Aaron van Amers, CTO and founding partner of Outlier Ventures. And with me is Alexander Ramsey of Gantree. And start off with a short pitch about Gantree, what it is, what it's all about, and we'll go into a Q&A. So I'll let you get on it with the pitch, Alexander.
Thank you. Awesome. Can you see that? Cool. I assume you can hear me. Hey, as mentioned, Alexander Ramsey, the CEO and co-founder of Gantree. We're a general purpose monitoring alerts platform for blockchain nodes. Or maybe I should hide my portrait here. How do I do that? There we go. Oh, it doesn't go away.
No, I think it's good. For us, it's good.
Okay. Awesome. So our view at Gantree is that decentralized networks like blockchains are economies, and they enable entire ecosystems of businesses which rely on nodes as their gateway to the market. So you would know about some of these node businesses already. Transaction APIs like Infura or Rivet provide access to trusted nodes and make it easier for developers to broadcast the transactions on Ethereum. Cryptocurrency exchanges run a node for just about every market that they operate. In 2019, nodes were the biggest expense on their balance sheet. So it's safe to say that these node businesses are sort of growing and the future is bright. But unfortunately, the problem for node businesses is that running nodes is a really complicated craft. And if you want to own and operate your own node infrastructure, it requires hiring dedicated personnel to assemble and maintain a stack of open source tools. And none of these tools available are actually tailored for node operators. So we've found that most node businesses don't have a straightforward way of measuring success or preventing downtime. Some have built rudimentary monitoring and alerting systems for themselves, but their solutions are still unspecific to nodes and they require ongoing maintenance and they kind of leave them wanting. A small number of node businesses, like the most well-known crypto exchanges, have built large, complex systems that give them a real bird's eye view of their infrastructure and help to prevent risk. But these systems have been built emergently. They have a lot of tech debt. They're hard to scale, and they burden the business with another kind of risk, which is key man risk, because there's only a certain number of DevOps engineers that know how they work. So this is why we've built Gantree. Gantree is a general purpose monitoring and alerting platform for blockchain nodes. So we're a plug and play solution. It's easy to set up and offers professional off-the-shelf monitoring and alerting for node operators. With Gantree, any node operator can identify chronic issues, performance optimize, measure success, and increase their profitability. So setting up Gantree only requires a one-line install and has easy to understand pricing that scales with our customers. So we see there being a build or buy decision for people running nodes, and we see ourselves as the winner in that buy decision. So we combine the convenience of off-the-shelf monitoring tools with the business value of deep insights tailored for blockchain protocol teams, node operators, and investors that can't be derived anywhere else. So let's talk about the market. The blockchain solutions market is niche but growing rapidly. It is slated to reach 15.9 billion by 2023. And the number of nodes out there is growing too at a 44% compound annual growth rate. But the node ecosystem is not growing only in size, it's also growing in the kinds of nodes that constitute it. To be a truly decentralized application, you need to be censorship resistant. And this rapidly growing and increasingly diverse node market is going to demand general purpose tools that are available off the shelf, like our monitoring and alerts platform, as market forces drive continued investment in the decentralized economy. So to date, we've been grant funded by the Web3 Foundation. We built our minimum viable product. We support any nodes that have a Prometheus endpoint. This means we support Cosmos nodes for substrate-based blockchains like Polkadot, Kusama, and Edgeware, all out of the box. We're currently working with blockchain protocols to integrate Gantree into their node deployment sort of artifacts and tutorials. In 2020, we're focused on bootstrapping our initial install base and providing blockchain protocol teams with a bird's eye view of their network. From there, we can develop our federated data platform and start offering deeper insights to node operators, investors, and protocol teams. By the end of 2021, we aim to have $1 million in USD in annual recurring revenue. Now, building great products for a diverse, technical, and skeptical market is tough, but luckily Gantree is built by a world-class team. So for the past 2.5 years, my business partner Tom and I have been running FlexDApps, a world-renowned blockchain venture studio. Most notably, our team were instrumental in the technology development for MStable, a DeFi protocol which recently reached 60 million in assets under management, as well as BlockNative, a revolutionary node business themselves who offer powerful tools to analyze the Ethereum mempool. So with the help of our team and our awesome partners at Outlier Ventures and the Web3 Foundation, we're confident that we can achieve our goals and help our customers measure success, drive growth, and better manage their most important assets. Thank you for listening. Hit me up at alex@gantree.io if you have any questions. And yeah, I'll leave it there.
Right. Thanks for that. And yeah, also really interesting to hear the panel in advance, which of course led up to this. So you mentioned at least part of the team came out of FlexDApps. Could you tell a bit more about like where did Gantree come from and why did you guys jump onto this? Like what motivates you about this?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I mentioned at the start of the panel that we sort of came from a background as dApp developers. We were asked by the Web3 Foundation to apply for a grant, and we really love the vision of Polkadot and sort of achieving scalability through interoperability and the idea of application-specific blockchains. But one thing we really love about having built in the Ethereum ecosystem is it's a really permissionless space, especially now that there's all these fantastic primitives that people can leverage, like stable coins and lending protocols, etc. And people can just show up and build things permissionlessly. And this is, this is one of the things we love. And we looked at what it would take to build an application-specific blockchain with Substrate, for example, and we thought that the operation of nodes was just an extra price of admission that isn't really there when it comes to building on Ethereum, because you have sort of some service providers that can abstract any requirements like that away. So that's where we started. We originally built a command line interface that makes it easy to deploy any Substrate-based blockchain node in the cloud. But we've since sort of focused in specifically on monitoring alerts. But originally we wanted to make this help to make the Polkadot Web3 ecosystem a bit as permissionless as it can be.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, this Substrate, of course, with Polkadot, which makes it really easy to deploy your own blockchain. And we saw Gav do that at Web3 Summit a while ago, famously on his newly freshly installed Mac. Anyone can do it. But then you need to actually do it, and it's not that simple, right? You still need skills, and you still need skills to maintain it. So yeah, it makes sense that you can add value there. And so a bit more about like the analytics aspect of it, and something you also touched upon on the panel. Like once you have increasing amount of nodes and node providers running the Gantree software and using the analytics platform and getting insights. There's the possibility also for you guys or for whatever governance mechanism exists around that platform in the future to sort of start curating and start sort of rewarding people for their good performance on the network. Could you tell a bit more about the ideas that you've had and like any things that what's in store there?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I would describe sort of product market fit if you're building something as when it's sort of 10 times better than what already exists, and then it tends to fly off the shelves. And so at the moment, Gantree makes it really easy for teams to deploy monitoring and alerting infrastructure with a single line install. But we sort of sat down and thought, how can we make what Gantree is analogous to what someone could assemble themselves out of open source tools if they had the skills. And so how do we make something that's 10 times better than that? How do we make something that's really mature and specific and tailored for node operators? And so we came to the conclusion that if we have a number of users on our platform, we can aggregate that data and we can provide people really great insights that help to kind of make the node ecosystem itself more robust. So we want to provide node operators the ability to benchmark themselves against other node operators. So say we're talking about validator nodes where we're all playing a game where there's quite a bit of a stake involved, and performance is important. Benchmarking is something that's really attractive to people like that. At the moment, we're focused on working with blockchain protocols to give them a bird's eye view of their network. So you can imagine, my kind of vision for it is that you're sitting in the Batcave and you have all these screens. You have this sort of clairvoyant overview of the network that you're building, and that's really, really helpful because it gives people the ability, gives protocol teams the ability to do things like root cause analysis. They can correlate network activity with resource usage on their node operators where they otherwise might not have had a mechanism to sort of capture that data and understand that. When they're helping their node operators to troubleshoot, they're looking at the same thing. And so we see all these opportunities, even as opportunities as esoteric as providing crash reports of substrate-based nodes back to the parity team. All of this data is super valuable, and there's lots of ways that it can be aggregated, and there's lots of people who can be the customer. And I think we also recognize that in the midst of this sort of Web3 revolution, I don't think it's certainly a missed opportunity to not look at building a decentralized protocol, but we're still sort of quite early stages. And I think to build a decentralized protocol requires that very specifically the games that you intend to play, and then you model those out and you create incentives around them so that people act predictably and we get the results that we want. But for us, I think in terms of the governance of that data, we'll follow the kind of we'll follow the sort of validation that we get about where that data is best placed to be consumed, and then we sort of can go from there.
Great, yeah, and that Batcave you referred to with all the screens, that's what your office looks like, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
I imagine. We only see from this side, but on the other side, there's all the screens. Yeah, it's my office is the same. And can you tell a bit? You mentioned, you support any node infrastructure that exposes a Prometheus endpoint. So Prometheus is a pretty common open source metrics tool infrastructure. Can you mention a bit about the challenges that you've overcome until now to make that work in different chains, and further challenges that you see on the way, that the most important things for you guys to tackle?
Great question. So I'm not best placed to answer because I'm the least technical person on my team. But Gantree provides what we call the Gantree node watchdog, which is a little little service that sits adjacent to your node, and as mentioned, collects metrics through the Prometheus endpoint. I think Gantree will work with any software at all that has a Prometheus endpoint. It doesn't have to be a node, integrating with Prometheus has been a Prometheus endpoint has been really straightforward. Gantree does all the work to provision the Prometheus instance itself and sort of then provision dashboards for you. We originally started out, as mentioned, building a command line interface for the deployment of blockchain nodes, so what I would call node management. And node management is a much more non-standard and tricky problem. So to deploy and configure n number of blockchain nodes is really tricky, and if you want to build tools that do that, you kind of have costs that scale linearly to the number of protocols you support. But to have a service that can sort of query blockchain nodes and pull data into a central place to aggregate it is less of a non-standard problem. So our vision for the future is supporting many blockchains. We think this is a pretty approachable problem.
Nice, yeah. And quite a lot about the previous panel was around centralization, decentralization, bigger players, smaller players, and the node ecosystem as a whole. It's an evolving ecosystem. How do you see different types of node operators, different classes of node operators, if you will, working with Gantree? So I'm a hobbyist. I'm an enthusiast. I have my node in my back room. on the one end, or I'm a huge infrastructure operator, staking provider. I support 20 networks with tier 1 data centers and everything in between. Like how is Gantree interesting for them, and how do you see them working with Gantree?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I, as mentioned, our focus is on blockchain protocols, but I think that a good analog is any node operator that is going to have to wants to have an understanding of many nodes and also a deep understanding. So a node operator running a data center, running many kinds of nodes, you can imagine our vision for the future of Gantree is that perhaps they would use Gantree to monitor all of their blockchain nodes, varying in the blockchain that they pertain to. So again, having this sort of this big aggregated bird's eye view of things that allows them to pull all kinds of dials and levers and manage things. I think in terms of individual node operators or hobbyists, we also have this goal to make it easy for anyone to own and operate their own node infrastructure. So that certainly requires thinking about abstractions of success metrics and sanitizing data and making it approachable and easy to understand. But I guess at the moment, I think when democratizing things, it always starts at kind of the top end of town, and you kind of work down from there. And so we're focused more on the larger node operators and node businesses who sort of their node infrastructure is sort of key business infrastructure for them. And over time, I think we can get to the point where we're offering something that's really, really easy to interface with for just a hobbyist who's has some literacy of GitHub and the command line.
Yeah, great. And you mentioned you're really focusing on blockchain protocols. There's a number of protocols that you're already working with. I don't know if there's any of them that you can mention or not at all. But what you might be able to mention is like what have been like their experiences up to now, and also towards if there's any blockchain protocols here listening in, like why would it be interesting and how do I engage with you? How do they start? Say I'm building a protocol, I'm a core team, I'm a foundation. How do I start? Where do I start?
Yeah, just email me and let's have a conversation. I think blockchain protocol teams have a number of challenges to contend with when it comes to running node infrastructure. So I think they fit into the kind of we kind of plot node businesses on a sliding scale in our minds. And on one end, you have businesses whose sole function is to run nodes, and this is nodes as a service is the ultimate example of that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who need to contend with node operation because it allows them to pursue their higher order goals. And so this is a blockchain protocol team. They might not intend to run any of their nodes in the future, maybe themselves as hobbyists, but they're going to still need to run nodes. They're going to need to set up continuous deployment, integration testing, like all of these things. And monitoring is a part of that process, and it's a huge pain. And so they are experts in what they do, which is building blockchains and defining these games and these systems of incentives. And generally speaking, they don't want to have to contend with monitoring for nodes. So we are building. We are sort of focused deeply on taking responsibility for that problem, making it easy for you to instantly provision monitoring and alerting infrastructure. And also taking away the need to maintain that. And sort of, so we if you're a blockchain protocol team, we really want to work with you and understand what your needs are, and sort of so we can build this really amazing product for everyone. I won't go into who we're working with at this stage. It's a bit too early.
Sure. Yeah. Great. Well, yeah, I think that's should be really helpful for anyone listening in. Yeah, we have an important question from the audience, and if you can answer it within 2 minutes, I like it. So the rare peep on the background, Pepe. I don't know how you pronounce that. That's the thing that means you never know how to pronounce them. But
I think both are valid. Both are valid. But, actually, that my ex-girlfriend bought me that. It was one of the greatest gifts I've ever gotten. So it is hang on, I'll rip it off the wall. I'll show you. So it was created by an artist using rubber stamps. You can see all like the rubber stamps, so you can see the reflection of the screen there. But it's this rubber stamp artwork, and I actually have an NFT of it as well. So he was a creator off of Super Rare, And
Wow.
and the fact that this is a physical artwork is the exception to the rule. Like he usually just does NFTs.
That's amazing. You might want to get set up some security for that, because NFTs are all the rage.
Yeah, I don't know where the
and
NFT
they need
is.
monitoring as well for their they need monitoring for their networks as well. So, all right, we'll close it off. Many thanks, Alexander. If you have any parting thoughts for the audience, now's the time. They know where to find you. They know how to contact you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, just hit me up if you're interested in monitoring alerting for blockchain nodes. We are always looking for product feedback, and the people that we're working with now are doing amazing work to help shape our product. So if your monitoring alerting tools have left you wanting in the past, get in touch, because you could sort of help us to build Gantree.